started more than 400 years ago, and it all began with this incredible, unexpected friendship between a missionary and a scholar.
This story isn't really about technology at all. It's about an idea. It's about this profound moment when two completely different worldviews met, and that collision created something totally new, something that would echo for centuries to come.
So, let's get into it. Our story kicks off in the late 16th century, and we're going to meet our first character, an Italian Jesuit missionary. He shows up in Ming Dynasty China with a mission that was, crystal clear, but also incredibly difficult. His name was Matteo Ricci.
Now, Ricci wasn't there for silk or spices. Nope, his one and only goal was to spread the Christian gospel. But he figured out pretty fast that he couldn't just walk into the super sophisticated world of China's scholar officials and start preaching. That was going to get him absolutely nowhere. He needed a totally different plan.
So what he came up with was this brilliant, really patient four-step strategy. Okay, step 1, learn the language. He had to be able to talk to the local scholars. Step 2, master the Confucian classics. He needed to understand the culture from the inside out. Step 3, he even started dressing like a scholar, to fit in and be taken seriously. But that fourth step, that was the real game changer. He decided to use the universal language of reason as a bridge to faith.
And this quote right here, it gets to the very heart of his thinking. Ricci believed that things like logic, math, astronomy, even map-making, they weren't just boring school subjects. Oh no, to him, they were powerful tools. They were proof of a rational, orderly universe. And an orderly universe, well, that points directly to an intelligent, logical creator.
Okay, so this is where our second character steps onto the stage. We're talking about one of the most brilliant and influential scholar officials of the entire late Ming Dynasty, a man named Xu Guangqi. And here's the thing, he was searching for something too.
See, Xu Guangqi was a super practical guy, a real problem solver. And he saw serious problems all around him. The farming methods, they were failing. The official imperial calendar, it was a mess. So inaccurate it was causing huge issues for agriculture and even for state rituals. So he was on a quest, looking for a better, more reliable, more truthful system to bring some order back to his world.
So think about this setup. You've got a missionary on one side, using reason to point to God. And on the other, you have this brilliant scholar, using reason to try and fix his society. When these two men met, wow, it was an absolute turning point in intellectual history.
And this is where the big breakthrough happens. When Xu Guangqi finally heard Ricci's ideas, he didn't dismiss them as some strange, foreign superstition. Not at all. He saw a system of belief that was perfectly in sync with his own search for truth and order. It just clicked. And it was so compelling, so powerful, that he eventually converted and was baptized as a Christian.
So together, these two embarked on this huge landmark project. They decided to translate a cornerstone of Western thought into Chinese. But, and this is key, this wasn't just some dusty academic project. For Ricci, this was a central part of his mission.
And what was that book? It was Euclid's Elements of Geometry. I mean, just listen to what Xu Guangqi said about it. He saw something in its logical proofs that was permanent, perfect, and totally unchangeable. It just blew him away. And get this, he even had to invent brand new Chinese words for concepts we take for granted, like point, line, and triangle.
So you really got to understand, this wasn't about giving China a math lesson. Not at all. For Ricci, translating Euclid was his way of translating his entire worldview. He was using the very structure of geometry to show that the universe itself is built on logical, unshakable truths, which, in his mind, was a perfect reflection of his faith. Let's break that down for a second. What was the worldview hidden inside the geometry? Well, first, it showed that truth has to be built on a solid foundation, right? You start with axioms and build up, step by logical step. Second, it taught that you can't just make claims. Your conclusions need solid proof. And third, all of this beautiful, intricate order. Well, the implication was clear. It had to come from an intelligent creator, not just random chaos.
But this partnership didn't just stop with one book. No way. What they did together planted intellectual seeds that would keep growing for hundreds of years.
And the ripple effect was just huge. I mean, think about it. Just a few decades after their translation, their logical approach was the key to finally fixing that broken imperial calendar. Then, their work caught the eye of later emperors, like the famous Kangxi, who actually became a huge fan and student of Western science. And all of this whole chain of events, it laid the philosophical groundwork for how China would later embrace modern science and engineering.
But maybe the biggest, most immediate impact was this. It totally changed the conversation. For China's elite thinkers, the idea that a religious faith could actually be built on a foundation of reason, that it wasn't the enemy of logic, but a partner to it, that was absolutely revolutionary.
When you step back, their partnership is really the perfect picture of this whole exchange. It was never a one-way street. You had Matteo Ricci, who used science as a bridge to his faith, and then you had Xu Guangqi, who looked through the lens of reason and discovered that faith. It was a true meeting of the minds, a beautiful symmetry.
So this whole story leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about, doesn't it? It suggests that sometimes the greatest leaps forward don't happen because of a laser focus on technology. Instead, they come from that unexpected, creative spark that happens when two very different worldviews collide, but they do it with mutual respect and a genuine curiosity about each other. And that's something worth thinking about.